Electrocast.
Well, I can tell you the first thing that comes to mind is how not to do that. And how not to do that is to accept all the input from all the other people who say you're nuts and you should stop doing it. I can't imagine how many times people have been stopped from doing an incredible thing because somebody said that doesn't make any sense.
Welcome to Think Business with Tyler, sharing our methods and strategies for success. Join in on our conversations with business owners as we highlight their triumphs and detail how they overcame the challenges they faced while continuing to grow and scale their business. It's time to think life, think success, and think business with your host, Tyler Martin.
Hey, I wanted to start out the show by just saying thank you so much. This is show number 200, and the listenership has grown over the years. It keeps getting bigger every year, practically even every episode now. So I just want to say thank you. Thank you for the emails with your feedback, sometimes positive, which is awesome, and sometimes not so positive, which is cool too, because it helps me to learn and improve. My next guest number 200, is a special one. He's built 13 businesses across 10 industries in 4 continents, all while being told as a dyslexic ADHD teenager that he should become a tinsmith because he was good with his hands. He turned his unconventional thinking into a business philosophy that challenges everything we've been taught about entrepreneurship, from declaring making money is killing your business to boldly stating employees are always a bad idea. He's built a career on being what he calls counter-logical, and it works. It works for him. Now, through his books, advisory services, and the 3 to 5 Business Club, he's on a mission to free other business owners from the prison of conventional business rules they've unknowingly built for themselves. We're diving into why chasing the American dream is actually an American nightmare, how to make more money in less time, and why Richard Branson couldn't read a profit and loss statement until he was already a billionaire. This conversation isn't just about building businesses. It's about reclaiming your life by making your own business rules and learning why serving, not selling, is the true path to sustainable success. Once again, thanks for episode number 200. Thanks for being here through the journey. And here's to hopefully another 200 episodes. Chuck Blakeman, welcome to the Think Business with Tyler podcast show. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, Tyler. Thanks for having me. This is going to be fun.
Yeah, I'm excited to have you. I mean, you have just such an awesome history, and even going forward, just a lot of things. I can tell you just got like a million things going on in your brain, it seems like, and it sounds like you've accomplished a lot of them. So where I'd love to start on that note, 2 things. One, I'd love to know what you're doing these days today professionally. And then part 2 of that is maybe something on a personal note about you that maybe a lot of people don't know.
Okay, well, I'll start with part 2 because that's the easier one. I'm left-handed, right-brained, ADHD, and dyslexic, and I graduated at the bottom of my class in high school. They actually told me I should be a tinsmith because I played clarinet. I was good with my hands.
Wow.
And they didn't know what ADHD and dyslexic was back then. They knew what left-handed was, and they didn't like that either. So I went into the Army because I did get my degree. They did let me graduate. And I went into the Army because I knew they were the only ones who would ever employ me. I was unemployable. I knew if there were 500 kids getting into my high school class who got a job, I'd be the 501st and I wouldn't get one. So that's something people don't know about me. And I did play in classical music environments for quite a while I was doing business. But I went into the Army and started my first business in the Army. And we can skip forward from that. But I built 13 businesses in 10 industries on 4 continents from there, and found out later that people who are ADHD, it's like, 80+% of entrepreneurs are ADHD. So I guess I'm in good company. And today we help, I have 2 companies, and we help other business owners try and avoid many of the mistakes I've made in the 40 years I've been doing business. So we do business advisory with business owners, and we do workshops and work leadership conferences and that kind of stuff. And then we have this thing called 3 to 5 Club, where we put the business owners in an environment where they can say 3 magic words with other business owners. I don't know, or I am scared, or whatever they want to say. So we have those around the world as well.
And then just one last thing. You have a book coming out in March called Sell Less, Earn More. And I believe, is that your fourth book? Do I have
That's
that right?
my fourth printed book. I have a one that's unprinted, but yes, we have four. This will be my fourth book.
So you have like a crazy resume that we will probably just scratch the surface on today. Where I'd love to start, and we'll obviously jump ahead. We're not going to be able to cover all of them. But what was your first business? Like, what was it and how did it go?
Yeah, boy. Sadly, my first business in the Army was actually helping other business owners do leadership development. I'm trying to think of how many people I injured doing that when I was like 23 years old. But that was my first business. My second business was landscaping and landscape architecture, digging holes and putting plants in.
Wow.
That was my second business. And so we kind of, I had, I think, three of my businesses while I was in the Army as side businesses, because I was in the Army band and we called it military welfare. You worked like 2 hours a day and everybody else had real jobs. And so I got involved in that, just fell into these things, stumbled into these things. Somebody came by my house and said, I love how your house is your landscaping, and would you like to landscape 80 houses that I'm building? And so I became a landscape architect. So all of that was filling holes. When I was 21, I read a book that had a question in it from the author, who it became my life question. Why do what others can and will do when there's so much to be done that others can't or won't? It was an entrepreneur's question, filling holes. So that's what I've done all my life. And I saw some people who needed help in small businesses. I filled that hole, and then we did landscaping, and off we went with businesses around the world.
Does cash flow have you down? Profit not where you think it should be? Maybe it's the long hours. Let's meet to see if I can help. I bridge driving the financial performance of your business to hit growth and success targets. Book a complimentary meeting at meetforgrowth.com to get started now. Once again, that's meetforgrowth.com. I look forward to talking with you. And thanks for listening to the show.
I filled that hole, and then we did landscaping, and off we went with businesses around the world.
So from there, Chuck, what I'd like to know, with 13 businesses, that's a lot of businesses. Were there ever points where in any of them where you're like, hey, I'm just going to throw in the towel, it's just not working out? Or did that happen?
Yeah, not in any of them, but in all of them. Now, there's always a point where you say, oh no, what did I get myself into? With every business I put together on my spreadsheet, where you put together a spreadsheet about what would all the great things that would happen if you ever actually did anything, and the spreadsheet looks great. And then about 6 months to a year in, you say, this is so much harder than what my spreadsheet said it would be. Every single one of them was that way. And I learned the word conation in the process of doing this. It's an ancient word. To conate means basically, I want something so bad, I'm already doing it. The fancy definition is the will to succeed that manifests itself in single-minded pursuit of a goal, being the bulldog, never giving up, like being a stream running downhill. Your objective is to get to the ocean. If you have to fill a lake to do it, you'll do it. If you have to wander around in a meadow, you'll do it. And so I learned that muscle throughout each of my businesses. And there was only one of the 13 that failed utterly and failed miserably and lost me a lot of money in Africa. And it was because it was the one business I did not take a measured risk in. It was the one business I went all in on with stupid risk. So there you go. Don't do stupid risk.
What triggered that? Like, why did you break your normal rule, or was it just early on?
Yeah, it's a great question. This is like business number 7 or 8. And I broke it because I got altruistic about it. Instead of giving money to hundreds of thousands to nonprofits, I wanted to solve poverty in Central Africa by starting millions of small businesses around Central Africa. And I got involved in putting out all kinds of money up front. And then we got a president of the specific country in Africa who got wind of us, and my partner was in the country. He was a native to the country, and he had the audacity to say he was going to run for president. And that put targets on our backs.
Big time.
And I've not been able to go back in 8 or 10 years.
Wow. What's your thoughts around doing a business where you have a partner versus just doing it on your own?
Yeah, well, in my first book, Making Money's Killing Your Business, I said partnerships are the worst possible form of business unless they work. And then they are the best, and they rarely work.
Right. Yeah, they're usually kind of landmines, right?
Yeah, if you look at the history of partnerships that worked with all the giant corporations, these were people who were friends before business. So if some VC tries to match two businessy guys because they think that you need a partnership, no, you need a friendship. And if the friend happens to be a really good business partner too, well, that's great. But don't go looking for a business partner just to find someone who complements your skills. You need to have a friend. Date first and then marry.
Right. And it's funny you bring up the word marry. I always think of it like that. It's like a marriage, and
Me too.
divorce rate is pretty high.
Yeah, very high. Yeah, they rarely work, but when they do, they are the best form of business.
So you've been in 10 industries, maybe even it's more than that for how I dated my material. But how do you know when you're doing a business like the Africa one is a good example? How do you know when to double down or when do you pivot? Like what are signs that you've used to do one or the other?
Yeah, well, I can tell you the first thing that comes to mind is how not to do that. And how not to do that is to accept all the input from all the other people who say you're nuts and you should stop doing it. I can't imagine how many times people have been stopped from doing an incredible thing because somebody said that doesn't make any sense. The SBA is famous for killing people's dreams. Don't take the outside input. It needs to come from inside. It's like, do you see something here that in your heart of hearts you just can't not do? That's the first place to start. It's about a form of passion that says, I can't not do this. I can't not keep going. And when that starts to fade, that's the first indication. The second indication for me has always been that I start becoming a form of a victim that I don't realize is victimology. And that's where we start saying the business is failing because there's not enough sales. I don't have enough financing. I don't have the right people on the bus. The market is changing. The economy sucks. All of those are signs that you have lost your passion, because I can give you countless people who worked through all of those things because they couldn't not do this. They couldn't stop. And all of those are just excuses for not getting after it. So, that's becoming reactive. Maybe that's the best way to say it. When you see yourself becoming reactive, that's all reactive stuff. Oh, the market's changing. Oh, we're not having enough sales. The reason that's happening, Tyler, from my perspective, is because the business owner got tired.
Yeah.
And the business owner has to either go away for a few days and get it back, get their mojo back, or get out. Because if you're tired and you start using all that victimology, you can't save your way to success in any one of those categories.
Yeah. You bring up a great point. It's a similar question to what I just asked you, but what I'll see a lot of times is business owners or entrepreneurs will come to me and they've been doing something for 10 or 15 years and it gets to be a grind, and they'll come to you and they're kind of burned out and they're like figuring out, do I want to sell my business? I had someone even say to me the other day, they approached me about potentially working with me and they said, hey, I'm thinking about hiring someone to run my business and then I want to take a job somewhere else. Yep. And these are things I hear a lot. I'm just curious, what's your thoughts around that when someone's done something for a long time and they're moderately successful, I'll say?
Well, I put this in a little bit of this in my next book, Sell Less, Earn More, but it's in a couple of my other books. Business owners, my anecdotal research, pretty heavy anecdotal research, I would say 90+%, probably close to 99% of the reasons people get out of business have nothing to do with all the reasons we say. 99% of the reasons is the business owner gets tired and they quit, and they blame it on sales, marketing, yada yada. But it's about those things, and that's where we get ourselves in trouble. Is we get tired after 10 or 15 years. We have a training room here in Denver, and splashed across the front of it in 20-inch letters, make your own business rules, because he or she who makes the rules wins. And one of the reasons we get tired is we accept the rules coming at us, our customers' rules, the economy's rules, the government's rules, our employees' rules, everybody's rules. And then we work at this thing for 3 or 4 or 5 years. We get this thing up and running, and we've built a prison for ourselves. And that's why we get tired, because we're just reacting to the world around us. And you got to get back. What did you want out of this business? And then build a business that will get you what you want, and stop accepting everybody else's rules. And the beauty of this is, it's one of the things I said in my first book. Why would you build a business specifically to sell it? That's a good way to get tired. That's not a good motivation to build a business. And what if you build a business where you didn't get tired? What if you build a business like I did, where I have 72% of my work week or 72% of my work year free to ask myself, what should I do today? You don't ever have to retire, and you don't have to sell your business. we can get there. It's a mindset shift from the idea of building a successful business and using your business to get you what you actually want.
Yeah. So, you just said something that was so much wisdom. So a lot of times, and even myself, I'm guilty of this, hey, build your business so you can sell it someday.
Yeah.
How do you, though, like kind of flip that switch? Is it just simply by creating an environment that instead of you reacting to the environment, you're creating an environment where you're more free and you're able to do it on your timetable? Is that really what kind of you think lights the fire for most people?
I think that's the process that follows what lights the fire.
Okay.
The thing that lights the fire is a simple but not easy mindset shift. And here it is.
Yeah.
The mindset shift is I'm making money, shifting to I'm building a business that makes money. You hear the difference immediately. I'm making money means if I go on vacation, there's no money coming in. Or if I take a day off, there's no money coming in. Or there might be 8 or 10 people in my business, but if I'm gone for 2 weeks, the thing starts to decay because I'm so important in my business. Richard Branson owns 460 some businesses, and he doesn't seem to suffer from that problem. We need to get the mindset of how do we build a business that one day a week I can be gone and it still makes money the day I'm gone, or for 2 weeks. We go away and the business makes money and doesn't decay. We need to develop the ability to delegate the responsibilities and the processes and those kinds of. But it's a mindset shift from what I call a bad case of the nobodies. Nobody's as good. Nobody's as responsible. Nobody's as knowledgeable. We're pretty sure nobody else can do this stuff. And until we get over that, we're going to be income producers, which is the first mindset. And what we really want to be is business owners. Most people who think they're business owners, they aren't. They're income producers. And we know that because when they leave the business for a day or two or a couple of weeks, the income starts to go down.
Yeah, it falls apart. Yeah. So what is there like a common theme in your businesses that you've seen that are in terms of like building and growing your business? Is there a common theme that you feel like it's a pitfall for people? Is it hiring people? Is it the delegating part? Is it the mindset? I mean, is there like one theme that you see? Because your 3 to 5 club, which we'll talk about before we end, I'm sure you see a lot of similar people come. Their problems seem unique, but they're very similar.
Yeah, they all suffer from the same thing that I suffered from. And that is we assume that the American dream is what we're shooting for. We had what we call the 7 stages of business ownership. And the American dream is stage 4. It's not stage 7. The American dream is really an American nightmare. What our assumption is, Tyler, is that if I just make a buttload of money, somehow I'll be happy.
Right.
I'm not happy yet. Let me make a buttload more money. I'm still not happy. Somehow I'll be happy because the money will do that for you. Here's the mindset issue. The problem that with this pervasive issue is that we impute to the resources that they are the goal. Money is a resource. It is not the goal. Time is a resource. It is not the goal. And we think we're chasing time and money all our business lives. What if you chase the goal? The goal is, how do I build a life that I actually want, that I live on an island like Richard Branson, or whatever you want to do? Get a great understanding of that first, and then ask yourself, how much time and how much money would I need to make that happen? So you chase the dream, you don't chase the money and the time, because those are just resources. And you will get tired. That's why I wrote my first book, Making Money is Killing Your Business. You want to chase money, you will get tired doing that. Chase your dream of what you want as a result of building a business. Then build a business that gives you that. And so that's a huge mindset shift for people to go from I'm making money to I'm a business owner, and the business makes money when I'm not there.
Yeah. I want to shift gears a little bit. So what you guys have now built something where you're helping other business owners overcome some of these mindset issues and help them grow and scale their business. How about you and your journey? Did you ever lean on anyone in terms of whether it be coaching or a mentor, or where did that play in your own involvement?
Yeah, only in the last 10 years, Tyler. I grew up in a family where there were 6 rugged individualists, my 2 parents and 4 kids. And I just assumed that that's the way every family was. You're on your own from the day you can find the refrigerator. So I grew up as a John Wayne rugged individualist. And that's how I grew my businesses. From the printing of a business card, I had to pretend that I knew everything.
Wow. That's brute force.
It is brute force. It's blunt object brute force. And I learned a lot. I bled a lot over all the stuff I say, stuff I put in my business. This isn't a book I wrote. this is a life I lived and bled over. And only in the last 10, maybe 15 years did I realize the value. And now I'm all in. I've got a couple coaches. I work extensively with other business owners to ask them. My favorite question in the last 15 years has been, what am I pretending not to know? And I want them to help me answer that. So I can't emphasize enough how important it is to get away from that part of the American dream, that the rugged individualist can build a business all by themselves. No, man, get in community, get in business community where you can ask three really important questions, or you can make a 3-word statement. I don't know. I wish I'd have had that. It's like, where was I when I was 30? I wish I would have had me when I was 30, or I would have approached that person who was me. Boy, it just accelerates your work. We call it, there's 4 building blocks that we think go with a business. And building block number 4 is outside eyes. Get somebody involved in your business who has no dog in the hunt, because they'll see things you'll never see. And then they can help you accelerate your progress in ways you'll never do it on your own.
If you're a business owner feeling stuck in your business, overwhelmed, responsible for everything that happens, and working long hours, Tyler helps his clients develop processes, hire high-performing team members, and better understand their financial metrics and numbers to allow for a more predictable, less hands-on business. To schedule a free, no-pressure consultation, head to thinktyler.com and click the meeting button. Tyler would love to see if he can help you work on your business, not in your business. Schedule a consultation today at thinktyler.com. Think life, think success, think business.
Get somebody involved in your business who has no dog in the hunt, because they'll see things you'll never see. And then they can help you accelerate your progress in ways you'll never do it on your own.
Yeah, that's good stuff. Hey, so I want to shift gears. One of your books is titled Why Employees Are Always a Bad Idea. And I love your titles, by the way, because right away they're like, okay, what's the right idea? So I guess my question to you, why are employees a bad, what's the alternative if employees are a bad idea?
Yeah. So original title was Why Managers Are Always a Bad Idea, but the publishers thought it would expand the readership. But it's still the same. The word employee and the concept of the employee, the top-down structured environment that we inherited from the factory system, the industrial age factory system, it was a bad idea when we stole it from the military. And it's a worse idea today to have the information flows up, all the decisions flow down, and employees are the image of the Dilbert Society. Scott Adams, Dilbert, that's an employee. An employee is someone who does not make decisions, who basically is a child at work. Just tell me what to do. And we want stakeholders instead. Stakeholders are adults. They bring all their adult creativity to work, and they are involved in making decisions along with everyone else. So we want to replace the word employee, which came basically from slavery. You can't redeem this word. So we had to replace it with team members, stakeholders, but let's have all the adults. So there's no top down anymore. It's center in and edges out decision-making processes where we all have functions instead of divisions and departments. And we all work together to figure out how to get the mission statement done. The boss is the mission statement for all of us. So that's what we're looking at there is distributed decision-making and distributed leadership that changes an organization. And I can show you organizations from 20 people to 20,000, 90,000 all around the world who have stopped using managers and have required that the team members all grow up and be adults and take on the functions of a manager. They're still leaders, but managers are no longer necessary.
Sure. What are like some real practical things you hire someone from the get-go that you get them into the stakeholder role? Like, what are you doing literally to create that autonomy and that feeling that like they're a stakeholder?
Yeah. So we hire people. We have an 11-step hiring process. We call it reverse hiring because we hire completely different than the industrial age taught us. Everything we know about hiring is broken. We should hire first for the things that you can't teach. Hire for culture, hire for talent, hire for skills, hire for mindset more than anything. And I want to hire people who have the mindset of being an adult at work, who are saying, I got to leave the place I'm at because I'm just a cog in the wheel. I'm a really good cog, but they won't let me think. That's the first mindset. And then simple little tools like what we call two-step decision-making. We have 12 tools of distributed decision-making. Two-step decision-making is whoever has to live with the decision should make it. If I'm the one who's going to use the software, I'm buying the software. Now, if that's all you did, that's chaos and anarchy. So step number 2 is whoever is affected by the decision will be involved in helping you make that decision. Well, that gets to be the owner or accounting or, all kinds of different people get involved in the decision. So no decision is ever made in a vacuum, but the people who have to live with the decisions are making them. And I can say, hey, we don't like that decision yet because it doesn't work for the rest of the company. Try again. So we're not going to tell them what to do, but they're not going to go off and do things that are anarchical as well. Simple little tools like that have revolutionized companies. And being the boss, knowing that the mission statement is the boss. I'm not your boss. If you want to know what to do, ask the boss. The boss is the mission statement. Will what I'm going to do right now serve the mission statement? And then ask your friends if they think that's the same. So just simple little tools like that revolutionize that mindset of everything flowing from the top down and everybody being a cog in a wheel.
Yeah. So when you talk about that checklist of 11 things, do assessments play into this at all, like a disc profile or anything like that? Do you do anything like that within your organization?
Oh, yeah. We have we have 3 or 4 assessments we do with people. They're mostly very simple. We call it, one of the snarky ways we talk about this is how to get people to quit before you hire them. And this process is set up with the assumption that we only want the best and we only need a few. We live in a world of abundance. There's plenty of great people out there. So we make it hard for them to be hired. And these tests are part of that hiring process.
Okay. And how often do you find when you do bring someone into your workplace where it just doesn't line up with how you thought they were? Does that happen? And how do you deal with it?
Absolutely. This is not fail safe. It's just a lot better. It's not perfect. Yeah. It's just better. So
because people are people. Yeah.
So we have fewer of those because no one person hires. We don't have managers. So no one person hires. The teams hire and the teams get together and the wisdom of crowds kicks in with leadership. And so those people get involved in these things. And so we have a lot less of those, but absolutely we still see people slipping through the cracks on that. We also have written values that every person in our company could tell you exactly what these 5 values are and how they impact us. And we review those on a regular basis. And then the teams review them with each other on a regular basis. And that's how people get hired and fired based on how they're keeping the values, the vision, and the mission.
Yeah. Okay. Shifting a little bit towards your next book. I'm really excited about this one. Sell less, earn more. You've obviously over your career have probably sold a lot. How does this, once again, the titles are intriguing. How do you sell less and earn more?
Yeah, I built all 13 businesses without outside funding. I bootstrapped every single one of them and I pounded the street to find customers. And they've been on 4 different continents. So it's, none of them were giant businesses, but some of them were in the millions and millions. And I can tell you that one of the things I learned in this whole process is that successful business owners can actually stop selling. And successful businesses, if they do it right, they can stop selling if they just learn how to serve. So Sell Less, Earn More is the title of the book. But the principle in the book is serve, don't sell. And the other principle that comes from that is stop hunting strangers. And work almost exclusively with people you already know, and you will exponentially grow your business, your revenue, your profit. All of it will go up because you stopped hunting strangers and stabbing them with your business cards. So the proof, I say this to people a lot who are doing a lot of networking, because that's where I started. It's what everybody should start when they start a business. Go to networking groups. But if it becomes a lifestyle, that's a problem. And here's the proof of that. Successful business owners don't go to networking groups. Is it because they've lost their mojo? No, it's because they built a small network of 3 to 5 people that they work with on a regular basis. Everybody has all the same clients and they just swap clients back and forth. That plus your existing clients, your past clients, and your existing relationships should be all you need until you get to the millions of dollars, the few millions. And then, yes, you can do really expensive marketing and add 10% to that each year as well. But the key to selling more or selling less and earning more is to build relationships and stop using marketing to sell stuff.
So your recommendation would be, rather than cold calling or whatever and trying to find strangers, would be to get into networking groups, try to build your network if you don't have one, because that's a common, a lot of times people say, leverage off your relationship. I don't really have any relationships. So let's get into these networks and start to build them.
Yeah. But when you're in the networking groups, the first thing you should be looking for is, who else has the clients I want?
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're so close to your industry or your profession that you just pass right by them. Well, they might think I'm a competitor. Those are your best relationships, because if you figure out how to find a world of abundance and do the 80-20 rule, you work with those people. I don't work with those people. I'll send them all to you. That's your best relationships. This is the cure for the common cold call. Stop going to networking groups and stabbing strangers with your business card. What if you just had 3 people who had done all that for 20 years? Each of them have a database of 500 friends that love, know, and trust them. What if you just got to know those 3 people and could give them good rationale for why they should start sending those people to you? Oh my goodness, now you have a database of 1,500 friends who don't even know you. And the guy says, hey, Bob, you should go check Chuck out. Chuck's going to help you with your business. You'd be crazy if you don't do business with Chuck. Why would I go to a networking group when I get that kind of introduction?
Yeah. When you made the comment, it really resonated with me. You made the comment, successful people don't necessarily show up at networking events. It's kind of true with LinkedIn too, by the way. Like my own clientele, they're not very active on LinkedIn. In fact, some of them don't even have pictures on their LinkedIn profile. And it's just kind of funny how, we're so conditioned to think like everybody's out on social media, but that's not necessarily true. Like if they're successful, they're not spending a lot of time playing on LinkedIn.
You nailed it. I snarkily for decades, even while I was doing networking, I would feel like I'm one of the 100 vultures sitting on a wire, looking down for the one big giant cow that we could all eat. And that cow doesn't come to networking events anymore. So we eat each other and the few business owners who haven't yet graduated from networking.
Yeah, yeah. Hey, so I want to talk a little bit, since my background's finance, I want to just spend a little time with finance. Where do numbers, metrics, KPIs, financial statements, where does that fit into all your businesses? Like, where does it fit in?
Well, I'll say 2 things to begin with. Absolutely central. Numbers is the language of business. And I hate numbers. I'm left-handed, right-brained, ADHD, dyslexic, and I played in symphonic, I'm a symphonic musician. None of that stuff relates to numbers. However, I love what numbers do for me. So you don't have to fall in love with numbers. That's what business people like you are for, accountants and CPAs. Get somebody else to do the whole translation of numbers. But Richard Branson did not know how to read a profit and loss statement until he was a billionaire.
Wow.
However, he knew what 1 or 2 numbers he needed to be working with every day. Do I need more hotels? Do I need more airplanes? Do I need more people? You give me a number, man, and I'm going to go chase it. So it is about numbers. And the key is to have someone help you find what are the 1 or 2 numbers you as a business owner need to be chasing right now, and let your accountant chase the rest of them. Right. So I need to know enough number E's to be able to order a pizza and get a taxi. My accountant needs to know number E's fluently. So absolutely central. I can't tell you how many times people have crashed and burned because they just wanted to be passionate and work really hard. And it doesn't work that way. I am a testimonial to that. I hate numbers and I am emphatic about numbers.
Really? So do you try to synthesize it when you go back and reflect on all these businesses, have you always kind of had like 1 or 2 key numbers that like someone was either serving it to you or you were maybe keeping it in your head, but these were what were driving you? Yeah,
there's 2 numbers that I will follow. The second one changes based on the stage of business. The first one is always there. So number 1 that everybody should always follow is cash flow.
Okay.
Cash flow, and cash flow. You can kill. We had a business that went from 2 million to 9 million in 2.5 years, and we had to sell it because we didn't have cash flow. I learned the hard way that the faster you grow a business, the less money you have.
Was it tied up in AR? I'm just curious.
Oh yeah, AR inventory, all kinds of things. Yeah, we had great. Yeah, our accountant said, "You guys are doing great." Yeah, we can't pay our bills. So cash flow. Always for every day of your business life, it can kill the most healthy business. And then the second number is different based on where you are. So for instance, when you're starting out, the second number should be revenue, not savings, not operational numbers. Revenue. Go get more clients. When I was starting one of my businesses, I saw my wife turn down the heat, and I said, "Don't turn down the heat. I'll just go get another client." It's all about revenue. So cash flow and revenue. And then later on, it's cash flow and some other number. And when you really have a mature business, it's cash flow and expenses. That's when you put an automated hand dryer in your bathroom, because at that point you want to do that. Don't try and cut costs up front. Just go find another numbers or another customer. So I have 5 or 6 numbers that I will change to along with cash flow, depending on the maturity of the business. And that's all you need. Just just those 2 numbers at any time. Be manic about them, and that's going to help you.
Yeah, I mean, you probably could argue it's rare you go out of business by creating more revenue, unless I guess it's tied up in receivables, but then that's back to cash flow. If you're managing your cash flow, that you'll work itself out. So it sounds like you've kind of always been very driven by getting more customers, by getting more revenue. Have you ever had a situation where, because you brought up that 2 to 9 million, that's a lot of growth. Has it ever created a situation where you can't service that, or your bandwidth isn't?
Yeah, well, there's 4 or 5 ways you can go out of business, and all of them have to do with a form of shortage. Cash flow is the big one.
Yeah.
But you can also have not enough production. If you outgrow your ability to produce, you can have not enough of the right people. You can have not enough of the right square footage. There's a number of different ways that you can short yourself and create a bottleneck that is just horrible for your business. So we've got to make sure that we're following those and making sure that we don't create bottlenecks. There's no such thing as growing too fast. There's a such thing as growing fast enough, or growing fast and not taking care of all these different things that need to grow with you. They have to grow together with you. How many people do you have? The right people, the training, the square footage, the production, and your cash flow and your finances. All that stuff has to grow together, and then you can grow really fast. But generally, we leave 1 or 2 of those behind, and that's one of the things that happened in our business. We outgrew our cash flow, and we outgrew our revenue. We weren't growing our revenue fast enough for what we had done to build out all the rest of the pieces of the business.
Yeah, the balance wasn't there. Okay, before I wrap up, I've got one more question for you. Is there something that we could finalize on that is some type of tip for entrepreneurs, or some type of synthesis of what you've learned over, all these years of being in business and running your own businesses? Just some common theme that you see that people don't take care of, and maybe it's the mindset one. I don't know if there's another thing you have that comes to mind in terms of what we could apply to make our business better.
Yeah, the first one that pops into mind for me is the one we use most to help business owners. We call it the business owner's game. The business owner's game has one objective. How do I make more money in less time? The income producer says, how do I make more money? I spend more time at work. In the business, it went from 2 million to 9 million. We had 3 people when we started. We had 120 when we quit, and I was still making 55, still doing 55 hours a week. That's not the right game. That's the income producer's game. So that's what I would say to people is get it into your mind. How do I make more money in less time, and start distributing all the nonsense that you're doing that you think nobody else can do?
Does cash flow have you down? Profit not where you think it should be? Maybe it's the long hours. Let's meet to see if I can help. I bridge driving the financial performance of your business to hit growth and success targets. Book a complimentary meeting at meetforgrowth.com to get started now. Once again, that's meetforgrowth.com. I look forward to talking with you. And thanks for listening to the show.
Get it into your mind. How do I make more money in less time, and start distributing all the nonsense that you're doing that you think nobody else can do?
Yeah, that's a great one. That's powerful. Okay, so just want to thank you so much for being on the show. I want to share some.
Yeah, my pleasure.
I want to share some of your websites. So we've got chuckblakeman.com is one website. I'll put these all in the thinktyler.com show notes. 3to5club.com, really interesting site. It's to help business owners. It seems like you have some cohorts or some type of group meetings where
mastermind groups. Yeah.
Yeah, really awesome. And then if you're interested in getting one of Chuck's books for free, the first 10 people that send an email to grow@3to5club.com will get a signed book. I'm not guaranteeing Chuck signed it. We said that off air. I think he's going to sign it, but I don't know. And then the last one is, because I just want to be respectful and be sure I mention all your different sites. The last one is cranksetgroup.com, and crank is CRANKSET group.com. Once again, I'll put all these links in the show notes. Anything I leave out or anything you want to add?
No, that's plenty. I think we can, if people can't find me with those 3 things, then that's my problem.
Yeah, awesome. Well, hey, you are a great guest. My hope here and my invitation to you when your next book comes out, I'd love to have you, and maybe we could just spend the whole time talking about selling, because I think that's a great topic.
Yeah, I'd love to, because I think every business owner hates the whole process. And that book we call that the anti-sales book.
Yeah, it's really one thing that holds business owners back. I mean, a lot of times they get this organic growth because of people they do know or whatever, but then it kind of peters out because they don't continue to evolve those relationships and build into the next level. So I can't wait to read it. And right after I read it, I think that'd be a great time to be able to meet and go over it together. So that's awesome. Okay, well, thanks for your time, and can't wait to get this out and share with people, because just a lot of knowledge you shared.
Thanks, Tyler. Really appreciate you. Keep going.
Thanks. That was Chuck Blakeman. What a great show. He's proving that being counter-logical might be the most logical business approach after all. My big takeaway, most of us aren't building businesses. We're just creating jobs for ourselves. The real transformation happens when we shift from I'm making money to I'm building a business that makes money when I'm not there. Chuck reminds us that business ownership isn't about chasing time and money as goals in themselves. It's about determining the life you want first, then building a business that delivers the resources, which are time and money, to make that life possible. Whether you're struggling with the endless grind of entrepreneurship or wondering why networking events feel like vultures on a wire, Chuck's perspective offers a refreshing alternative. Stop accepting everyone else's rules. Build relationships instead of sales funnels. And remember that cash flow, not passion alone, is what keeps businesses alive. If this conversation resonated with you, check out Chuck's upcoming book, Sell Less, Earn More, or visit 3to5club.com to connect with other business owners who are ready to say those 3 magic words, I don't know. And remember, we drop new episodes of Think Business with Tyler every Monday morning to help you turn your business challenges into transformational opportunities.